Welcome. This is David Bowles, Human Meme. Today's topic, Skinflint, blood in the stone. There's nothing worse than a penny pincher, a skinflint, a cheapskate, a stone from which no blood may be squeezed. Oh, you know the type. They invite you out to lunch. They order lobster and steak. You get a salad. Their lunch was $50. Yours was $12.50. And then they want to split the bill. Here's a rule of thumb. The person who does the inviting to lunch pays for the lunch. Oh, yes, it's true. And the way it must be. No surprises, no Dutch, no separate bills, no negotiation now or later. You invite, you pay. That's the way lunch works. And also dinner and breakfast and any sort of extra eating extravaganza. Or, what about this? You go to a party at someone's house. You are invited. Let's say it's an outdoor barbecue. It's also BYOB, which is fine, I guess, as long as you know that up front. But there are some people in this world who invite you to their place for a barbecue, and then at the end of the party, they want you to chip in $20 to cover the cost of the food you ate while you were at their party. Now, is that right? And hey, I don't mind being charged for a good time. But state all your prices up front, before the party, during the invitation, so everyone knows exactly what's in it for you and for them. Another rule of thumb, if you throw a party, you are paying for the party. That's the law of good time hosting. Now, my human meme friend, I mention all of this to you because I was reminded of two fascinating skinflint incidents that may prove of interest to this conversation. More than 10 years ago, a woman was heading up a reunion party for her high school, and that person was the self-anointed reunion organizer. And she sent out postcards to all the graduates, reminding them of the reunion date. Well, later, that woman followed up with a phone call to each person to confirm they were attending the reunion and to remind each person that they now owed her 23 cents. Oh, yes. They owed her 23 cents as reimbursement for her postage costs for the postcard she sent them reminding them about the reunion she was organizing. And if you refused or if you ignored her request and you did not send her the 23 cents, as in 2 dimes and 3 pennies taped to a blank sheet of paper and then sent back to her via first-class envelope within a week, well, then she sent you an invoice for 23 cents, along with a demand letter for reimbursement of interest, and the ongoing threat for her to sue you for her change. And this was a serious, smart person, not insane, just an interminable harasser. It was absolutely strange. And the result of that skinflint behavior was not very many people showed up for the class reunion she was organizing. And now, still a decade later, she is trying to collect her 23 cents via social media harassment and her flat-out refusal to speak to anyone in her high school reunion class who did not reimburse her. And I don't think very many people sent her 23 cents. Now, the second skinflint event is a little more recent, and it has to do with charging a cell phone. in more than one way. So here's how this story goes. If you happen to visit this guy's house, and if your cell phone battery happens to be low, this guy will not let you recharge your phone in his house because of money. It's just too expensive. However, he will let you charge if you pay him $5 up front, and you're limited to a 30-minute top-off. Now that is just awful and cheap and awfully cheap. Now, when I was growing up, a long time ago, I believed it was important to try to be as generous with people as possible. I felt it was my duty to help out, because other people helped me out when I didn't have any money. In fact, one time when I was a child, I took money, I guess you could say I stole it, in order to give that money to a less fortunate person up the street. And you can read about the subsequent beating I took, over $5, over on bowlesblogs.com, and do a search for The First Betrayal, a $5 beating. But I guess even that beating didn't stop me from trying to be kind and trying to be generous. I happened to work a lot as a kid. I had a little bit of money, had some gas, a car. All unique things in a small town for a kid of my age. And so, all throughout high school and college, I bought. I loaned money, no interest. I paid off small bets. I treated lunches and dinners. I was the taxi service. And I never asked anybody for a dime. And sure, we had a lot of fun, safe, good events. I was the one paying for it all. And that was fine with me because I was doing the offering and the inviting, and I would never try to trick someone later into owing me money for something I offered to pay for in the first place. And maybe that was some sort of pay-it-forward philosophy. I help you now, and maybe you'll help me out later if I need it. But I never expected or wanted any help in the future. But that does sort of seem to be the way it all works out in the end. You don't need any help until you need help. And when I was really young, I had some great friends and mentors in my life who paid my way. And so then and now I try to continue that behavior moving forward. In graduate school in the big city, even though I didn't have any money, a classmate would ask me every Friday morning before class to borrow $40 until Monday morning because he had a hot weekend date. And back then, $40 was a little bit of money. Well, I was recently married, and we were in graduate student housing at Columbia University, and we didn't have any money either. But I would always loan my friend the $40 for his date because he always did pay me back first thing Monday morning, I guess when he got paid. I did not charge my friend any vig, and he ate and danced and drank for 2 days, while my wife and I sometimes did not. But that's what you do for a friend. That's what I believe society expects us to do for each other. The us of us. I see it this way. A person who gives you $1 out of their $10 is a more valued person to the world than a person who gives you $100 out of their $1 million. Magnitude matters. And that story reminds me of a fantastic joke my Columbia University mentor and friend and chairman of the theater department, Howard Stein, used to tell me. And yes, I've probably told this joke before here on your favorite Human Meme podcast, so if you've heard it before, don't give away the end. So, there are 2 farmers who are neighbors. The first farmer says to the other, "We're in this life together. Whatever's mine is yours, half and half." And the other farmer says, "So if you had $1 million, you'd give me half." "Yes, of course," the first farmer says. The other farmer continues, "So if you had 2 tractors, you'd give me one?" "Yes, of course," the first farmer said. "This is how it works." "And," the other farmer continued, "if you had 2 cows, you'd give me one?" The first farmer stopped, turned red with anger, and shouted, "Hey, that's not fair. You know I have 2 cows." And the lesson of that fine story, my human meme friend, is this: be wary of what you wish for, and be cautious in the offer you make, if only to make yourself look better. And that's the hard part about all of this. If you try to be kind and generous to people, it can backfire on you. "Give me one of your cows, or else." And if you are too stingy and firm, then you are labeled as difficult and arrogant. But the fact remains, you just cannot fake generosity. If we are not genuine, we will be called out faster than we can take back the offer. As Erik Erikson said about the final stage of life, aged 65 to the end of days, is this: the complete analysis of a life can be divided into 2 separate conclusions and definitions: integrity versus despair. Integrity means your life, in reflexive analysis, was filled with accomplishment and fulfillment. You regret nothing. You are at peace with your decisions. You accept the finality of the world. You believe in wisdom and acceptance. Despair means you lived a life of shame, regret, and disappointment. You are bitter. You dwell on mistakes. You are depressive and hopeless. Your life did not add up to greater meaning. And so here we are in the final analysis. Which side of the dyad do you want to end up on in the end? Integrity. Giving up your cow. Or despair. Chasing after your childhood friends for 23 cents. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.